So I've platinumed every single Uncharted game except for Lost Legacy, which is the most recent and last edition of the Uncharted series. And to make it even better, it's led by 2 women, and Lord have mercy, is that just amazing in every single way. Today I'm going to be getting the Platinum Trophy for Uncharted Lost Legacy. It features 50 trophies, and while that might sound like a lot, it is actually the fastest and easiest Uncharted Platinum out there. But that doesn't mean it won't be as annoying as ever in a few places. The main part of this game's Platinum Trophy is to play it all the way through on crushing difficulty, which is the hardest available. The game begins with an opening scene of Chloe, who is one of the Uncharted OGs all the way back in the original trilogy, and she is an absolute dime piece, and I'm super glad we can now see her in Ultra HD 4K the way God intended. There is some little girl who, for the love of God, needs some parents because her orphan ass wouldn't stop following us around the entire intro of the game. But the little girl helps you distract a guard so you can hop on a truck and truly become the immigrant you were always meant to be. And that is quite literally the intro to the game. I'm not gonna lie, that lasted like 5 minutes, which is a very long time. But no, seriously, this game's chapters fly by so fast, it's kind of weird. And it makes the game really just feel like a DLC to Uncharted 4. But anyways, in the next mission, you basically just sneak around these alleyways that are absolutely overrun with men. And it's starting to look like my ex-girlfriend's DMs. Chloe ends up getting stopped by a bunch of dudes who I have a feeling have done some heinous things in their time. Thankfully, they all got called away to have a jerkle circle together and let me go freely. I then got to finally take out my pent-up anger on some random soldiers who were probably just trying to collect a paycheck and bring home some bread to the family. But war has casualties, and I feel no remorse. We also got introduced to lockpicking, which I think is a new feature in the Uncharted games. I can't remember if it was in the other ones or not, but I'm pretty certain it wasn't. So after breaking into the red door, Chloe got a text from some unknown person, and it says to get up to the roof and pop a titty for the boys. Now I was 100% down to do that, so I made my way up, but accidentally got caught on the way and had an all-out fist fight in the apartments. Thankfully, it was just a threesome, so I could handle it easily since I've been there before. We then made it onto the roof, and sadly, there wasn't anything up there. But a jet did fly by, and that has got to be below air clearance.
Someone needs to strip his license away immediately.
I got another text from Homeboy, and he says the plans changed and leaves me out to dry, which is a total doucher move. And to make it even better, a bunch of enemies just waltz on up behind me to ruin my day even more. Now, since it's crushing difficulty, even fistfights are somewhat challenging, but the Lord blessed me with a gorgeous, muscular goddess named Nadine Ross, who was the villain from Uncharted 4. But apparently she's on our side in this game and proceeds to help me kick the balls out of all these enemies. We then proceed to use woman rights in the form of various parkour jumps, and I got my first trophy of the day for finding some treasure that was hidden away on a roof. I then tried to assassinate Nadine so I could stop feeling bad about not being as muscular as her, but sadly it failed and just crumpled the floor beneath her. And apparently she was a bit mad at me after that because she took out all of her anger by punching in a window near me, and I got a bit afraid since I was really trying to pick that lock in a fast manner. Anyways, we have ended up in the main villain's lair, which is oddly disappointing, and there isn't even any children being tortured, which is a major letdown.
What did he say?
But we did find his secret plans, and then this key item which Chloe pocketed once he found us inside. Also, his name is Asav, I think. I don't know how you say it, but it sounds like a gun from Call of Duty. I imagine the Asav 42 would be a great mid-range assault rifle with high accuracy and damage.
That's what I'm saying.
Chloe got upset because he wouldn't let us go, so instead of just using her words, she just lit up the whole room on fire, and then we run away from our problems, which is a trend in the Uncharted series. And it's not really setting a good example for kids nowadays, but neither is my parkour skills because I've died many times since I was lost in the sauce. Eventually, we made it to this light strip and just grinded down it like Chloe used to do to Nathan Drake. And I got a trophy with the mission ending also. We then flash forward to Nadine and Chloe on a boat before they really start the treasure hunting journey on the next mission. The third chapter or mission of the game features a glorious return of the infamous red jeep, which apparently can traverse any sort of land and time in existence. Basically, this mission just has you drive around the forest for a while until you fight a few people here and there for essentially no reason except you have to. But after all the bloodshed, I stopped to take a picture of the scenery and got another trophy. We then drove a little bit forward and away from the killings, and that was literally the end of chapter 3. And we are already on chapter 4 now. Like I said in the beginning, this game is extremely short, but chapter 4 has one of the longest and most tedious trophies in it. And the name of it made me die inside when I got it. Basically, you need to go around the entire open area which is displayed on the map they give you in the beginning of it. But you have to find all these tokens and then place them into the master token area to get a special bracelet for Chloe. It took me like an hour and a half to do it, but I got the trophy pop which was called the Yes Queen. I'm sorry.
Oh my god!
Also, I did get numerous trophies while going for that, but most were just from opening up crates for some odd reason. Anyways, the main objective to this area is actually nothing in relation to what we just did. Instead, you have to activate these 3 different areas that are filled with enemies. Now, in the first one, I was struggling quite a bit to kill all the enemies because there was some armored guys and I kept running out of ammo. So eventually, I tried to go all stealthy and escape them after being seen, which gave me a trophy. But I finally killed the big armor guy and he dropped his giant, luscious gun, which I picked up to use, obviously. And if you kill someone with it, a trophy pops in addition to increased testosterone down levels. We then had to do this little puzzle which had us pressing a few circular things on the walls and floors around the place. And the door popped open and we got another puzzle which wasn't very hard and you just had to make the design appear. Nadine and Chloe then pushed the wheel contraption and the floodgates are open to all, which is one of 3 down. The next 2 took me quite a while to do, but I ended up getting both of them without losing too much of my sanity. And then we activated the main gate to finish chapter 4 and begin chapter 5, which is where a lot of treasure hunting really begins to start kicking in. Before, we were just solving puzzles and killing people, but now we get to go into caves and do that also, which is way more authentic. And I strolled upon a room full of dead people, which really set the mood, and I found some treasure which gave me another trophy. We then got to do this slightly annoying puzzle, which makes me really use my thinker and actually activated a few of my brain cells that remained. I don't have much left anymore, but apparently I had enough to finish this puzzle without losing any more. A few seconds later after that, Nadine and Chloe are trying to dip out of the tombs, but the elevator system just completely breaks, which isn't shocking since it's like 400 years old. And after barely making it out, both characters are extremely wet, and I really wish I could have been there to see that firsthand. Anyways, moving on. We ended up back in the tombs, and after scuttling around, the Call of Duty weapon guy shows up, and we finally get confronted by him again. Sadly, it wasn't a happy reunion, and he punched me in the face multiple times, which really hurt my feelings. But the torture ended when I got thrown through a wall, so it's a happy ending nonetheless. And I even got to go down a super cool water slide. Sadly, at the end of it, I fell down multiple stories and got knocked out, and ended up taking a little sleepy time. On this next part, we get to go through an entire combat section jam-packed full of enemies and an APC, which was so much fun on crushing difficulty. Here's a fun fact for y'all about the APC's health. It takes around 4 RPG shots and 3 C4 to take down on crushing difficulty. And on the lowest difficulty, Explorer, it takes an entire 2 C4 to kill it, or 2 RPG shots. So the difference is quite substantial. And I died here a lot. Like, a lot. But I finally did it, and Nadine didn't even congratulate me. She just yelled at me for being bad at the game and walked away like a meanie face. We then waltzed into our room, which gave me lots of agony, and I will probably have bad dreams about it and get prolonged PTSD that will hit me in around 10 years from now when I'm just sitting at home. But I died a lot here, and I'm not really sure why. It's a pretty basic combat section, but there just isn't really any great places to sit behind cover, which makes it hard to do anything. And I kept on running out of ammo, which wasn't great either, because you kind of need that to do something in this game. So after I finally got out of that mess, the next area didn't have any combat until the end, but instead featured a similar level of annoyance in the form of puzzles, which is everyone's just favorite thing to do after losing their mind 5 minutes prior 2 times in a row. Anyways, this puzzle wasn't horrible, but it still took me a hot minute to figure it out, and then we had another combat section once we got it. Sadly, this combat section ended with both females falling to the bottom all over again.
Hey, you. Finally awake.
And then we got captured by the evil man. We even got to see Sam though, who was apparently in this game, and I honestly didn't know that when I booted it up, but I'm glad he is because even with that hairline, I still love that boy with all my heart. The evil man then makes us do some puzzles for him until he gets the tusk thing that he has been after all game. And instead of just killing us like a psychopath, he instead makes the whole room flood, and we nearly drowned but made it out because all 3 characters have massive amounts of plot armor. And we finally have reached the final few areas of the game. I got a trophy for doing all the optional conversations, which thankfully this game didn't have many of, which is a first. And then for taking all the pictures in the game also. I also found this skull treasure on the ground, and if you inspect it and rotate it upside down, it shows a magic 8-ball thing, and it said my chances of ever dating a bad booty Latina weren't very good, and it gave me a trophy. And we have reached the infamous helicopter fight of Uncharted Lost Legacy. I would be lying if I said this was easy, and it most definitely was not. I spent forever here, and I'm not sure why, but it was just so damn hard to do. Because you have to kill everyone, and then also avoid not being mowed down by the helicopter at the same time. But to make it even worse, once you shoot it once with a rocket, it then spawns in like 10 more enemies after all the other ones were gone. So you really get no break the entire time, and it's just challenging. But I did do it obviously, and we ended up roping under the chopper and then shooting the pilot on accident, crashing it, which is an amazing way to end that agony. And we have finally reached the final mission of the game, and it even features a train, which is just such a good way to end off the Uncharted series. Anyways, on the way to the train, I ended up getting a trophy for driving like a woman and making 10 bikers crash and probably die a horrible and painful death. But the kids were late for school, so it had to be done. I then got a trophy much later on once we were on the train for stealing cars from the enemy because I needed a faster form of transport, even though I think trains would be faster, but it's whatever. I then found the final collectible treasure while I was on the train also for another trophy. This last mission was kind of hard, but I was also just not doing it right. But it ends off with you fighting the evil guy like you'd expect, and after beating his balls around for a while, the train is about to derail and you jump out at the last moment and Sam saves you all, which definitely gave him a good in with both ladies whilst Nathan is off with his lady. And then you get credits, and I watched them for around 20 minutes before realizing you can just quit a menu and get the game completion trophies. And now it's time to do the cleanup for the Uncharted Lost Legacy Platinum Trophy. The first trophy I got was actually from opening the final lockbox in the game, which I apparently missed and honestly just didn't see on the last helicopter mission. fight. And next I had to use all weapons in the game, which I couldn't for the life of me figure out which one I hadn't used, since I felt like I'd used them all. But eventually I found it and got the trophy. And then I went after a trophy for getting 5 headshots in a row without being seen, which was very easy when using a silenced pistol. And another for killing enemies with 10 headshots in a row. I then did the 20 enemies killed while hip firing on the same encounter, and I'm pretty sure I didn't get a single hip fire kill throughout the entire game because I was way too focused on not dying, and this is a pretty sure way to just get railed. Almost like going to college as a female. I also did blind fire kills on the same encounter right after that for another trophy. Next, I went after a trophy which had you stealth kill armored enemies, which is actually very hard since you need to do it twice sort of on them, because after one it just removes their helmets and it doesn't actually take them out. But you can get it done easily by just resetting checkpoint over and over, which is what I did. And then I returned to the infamous APC mission to get a quad kill with the C4. And you can actually farm that same place over and over for the C4 kill count trophy, which needs 20 for another pop. I then got a trophy for doing lots of stealth kills, buddy takedowns with Nadine, which was kind of annoying, and doing 2 different gun routines where you had to use specific weapons in order to kill enemies. There was a funny trophy though called 4x4x4, which had you drive the 4x4 and run over 4 enemies in a row. After that, I also climbed a huge tower and just sat on it until they gave me a trophy. Next, I did one of the harder trophies in the game. You have to drive from the Ganesh mountain carving all the way to the Trident Fort on chapter 4. And they are essentially just across the entire map from each other, which is the challenge. And to make it even worse, it has to be done in 3 minutes there and back. So it took me quite a few tries to do it, but before I got it, I also got a trophy for falling with the Jeep, and then later I finally got the under 3 minute time. The next up on the list was to do the puzzles from chapter 4 all in one go without failing. I didn't even show this part in the main story, but it was in chapter 4 obviously, and I'm not gonna lie, I followed the tutorial because I didn't remember what to do. But hey, I got the trophy, so it is what it is. I then got another stealth trophy for reaching an area of the game without being seen, and another for using 5 ropes in a row, which made Tarzan a woman for some reason. And much like Uncharted 4, there's the trophy with a limited amount of moves on one of the puzzles. And it's that one with the shadows, which definitely took me more than 10 tries to do normally. But I did it with 10 after watching a YouTube video. So take that. And we got to see the return of the infamous Marco Polo joke line, which is a returning favorite in these games apparently. And I yet again returned to the APC mission to blow up that stupid thing with C4 this time, and got the trophy after blowing it up in one go. I then did a cannonball into some water and finished the helicopter fight again, but this time I didn't kill any enemies, which would be impossible on crushing difficulty. And I then returned to the train mission and blew up a moving car with a grenade. The driver did not catch it. And at this point, I was sort of tired of this game since I've been playing it all day. So I just drove my car off the side of a mountain to try and feel something again and got a trophy. Now I only had 2 trophies left to get. One was called Warrior, which is usually the last one you should get when going for the platinum. Basically, you have to play the first 4 chapters all the way through without using a gun or explosive item a single time. It's honestly not that hard since you can still punch and kill enemies when needed. It just takes like around an hour to do, so that is a time-consuming factor. But after that, I still needed to mark 30 enemies since I wasn't able or aware that was even a thing when playing on crushing difficulty. In fact, it's not even a feature when playing on crushing, which is why I didn't have it. Also, I'm convinced it was sort of broken since I don't think it really tracked, but I ended up getting it and then the platinum trophy after. Honestly, this game wasn't the best, obviously, since it's so short, but in terms of the platinum trophy, I still had a lot of fun and definitely enjoyed looking at all those boobs. Also, here's my playtime and the platinum trophy in my library for all of you who are still convinced I fake these, which is just complete BS. Accept it. I'm better than you.